I sat on a tool. It ran up my arse. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Project E30. If you guys are new to the channel, this thing was in the shop for a couple months because it got hit and that repair was done, and now it's got some other mechanical issues from just sitting there for a while and not running and driving. So it needs some work. It needs a lot of work. So this is my thinking right now. Jack the car up, go ahead and do the front suspension. Realistically, I know it's time to get a new battery. I keep trying to save this one. I just realized I've got the battery out of the car. I need to get it on pieces of wood, then I could get the front lifted. I'm gonna try that. Might be able to just roll it. I doubt it though. Okay, that took more work than it should have. But now I should be able to get the front wheels off, which I should have broke loose. Oh my god, that's what happens when you just rush things. Alright, get this little wheel cap off. What size are you? 5.5. Smaller. 5. Ooh. There we go. All right. I'm not a genius on this. Pelican Parts has really good guides on the E30. So the next thing that we're gonna have to do is we're just gonna have to move this caliper out of the way. And to do that, we've got the caliper mounting bracket. So we just gotta remove these. I believe it says they're 15 or 13 millimeter bolts on the back. Move the caliper out of the way, which I have this handy dandy box to kind of mount this aside. And then we just got to move the sensors, the wires, and get that out of the way. Turn the wheel all the way to the right-hand side. And then that should allow us the access that we need. Let's see if I can find the 7. Whew, thank gosh it's a 7. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and get this loose. Same thing on the bottom. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Make sure you guys eat your Wheaties. And then I'm just going to tuck this off to the side. Keep these brake pads in place. Ugh. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the way, and then this guy right down here, I'm going to go ahead and take this out the way, unless, actually let me double check, there might be a wire that just disconnects. Nope, that gets routed all the way through. So I'm going to get this guy out, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a 5. So I'm gonna try this 5, see if I can get that out. All right, so I've got this off. Again, just wiggled out. Yeah, it's looking rough. I think it's a wheel speed sensor, but I'll double check what that one is. Set that off to the side. All right, we're moving along now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and turn the wheel the other way. We're going to try to see if we can get this tie rod. Nice. Oh my god, I sat on a tool. It ran up my arse. So for the tie rod, we're going to go ahead and take this locking bolt out. Let's try a 17. Apparently there's a couple ways that you could do this. I got this little handy tie rod removal tool. I've also seen some people take the hammer and just... Alright, so I forgot to hit record. What I ended up using was this guy right here. And I just pushed this between there, tighten this down, it popped that right out. So thank goodness that that did the trick. So now this is free and out of the way. The next thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to take these out all the way so they're not just interfering. Gosh, these are brittle. So the next thing that we're going to do is going to actually be to disconnect this here. So it's got a bolt on this side. 13. Ooh, your boy's good. 13. I'm gonna use my foot to hold this guy right there for a second. It's not the best lighting, but hopefully you guys can see that. We're gonna see if we can get some leverage. There you go. Probably a 13 on the other side too, I'd imagine. So just got that arm swung back. You guys can kind of see there. It swings back and forth, so push that back. And now, the only thing that's holding this in place is going to be the control arm. So let's keep on pushing. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do, I'm pretty sure I can drop this whole strut if I get this out for the control arm, but I don't know if I should drop the whole control arm in order to have just the leverage to go, or the clearance to go up and down. So I'm gonna try, this one's probably a 19. I'm gonna go for it though and see what happens. Yeah, this one's a 19. Because I'm thinking if I can get that out of the way, then this is pretty much free and I can pull this whole thing down and then I can just roll forward. So I'm going to try to do that. That was actually not as bad as I thought. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can pop this out with this tool again. Go. So that's loose now. So now control arm is out of the way. Cool. So now to make this even better, let's I'm gonna keep this attached. Now what I'm gonna do, since I don't have an extra set of hands, is I'm gonna actually put this back in, hand holding that. And now it can go up top. Then up top, honestly, all we got to do is get 1, 2, and 3, and then that should just drop all that. So let me see if I can find a good spot for the camera. What's up, Rain? What you doing? I'm guessing these are 13s. Yep, 13s. This one just keeps on spinning. I kind of cut away at this, but what's happening is this guy, he's loose and not allowing me to use the ratchet. I have to use 2 hands, one to press up on it and apply pressure while using the ratchet. And I'm trying to see if I can get that free. So I'm thinking that guy broke, and that could be a source of some of my suspension noise. So you guys can kind of see what happened. See, I got one right there. The other one's right here. The other one's right there. And then the third one fell down into the nether regions. So that tells me that guy broke, which is bad. But now we're moving good. And then all we need to do down here now is I'm just gonna go ahead and take this the screw that I had put in place. Oh. Take the screw that I put in place. Easier said than done. Out. And now nothing's holding it. Get the control arm out the way. And voila. So now that's out the way, I can kind of show you guys what I'm looking at. Oh. Oh my God, this thing's heavy. The problem that we're dealing with, as you guys can see at the top of this, looks like somebody tried to fix it at one point. See some tape here. So this is number 3 that's busted. We've got this out of the garage. I was fortunate enough that the previous owner of my house set up a vice grip down here in the basement. So if you don't have one, just be super careful. What I did, I went to AutoZone and rented one of these spring tools. I definitely recommend doing so. Don't try to shortcut this one. This is very important. Ugh. This is very important to be super safe. That's why I got my goggles up here, which I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on. So these are really easy to use, and the nice thing about them is they have this little safety locking pin. So you want to make sure that you're going to put them right here. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get it set up, and I'll show you guys what I do. I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, if anything, it's gonna hit this wall, and I can have time to duck and run and whatever. But essentially, you just want to hook it on, and what you could do to get these in, if they don't fit, is just kind of wind them around the spring and work your way up. All right. Oh God, I'm in danger. No, for real, don't do that. I haven't started. That's the only reason I walked in front of it. So you're gonna take this. This is my setup, and make sure you have the new one readily available, because I'm not wasting any time with that. I think for these you have to reuse the nut. ECS, I don't think sends a new nut with that. This looks like it's a 19 as well. So all you're gonna do is you're going to tighten down both sides evenly. You want to make sure that no one side is lopsided or anything like that. And you're just going to tighten it down a little bit on each side. You guys can't see this other side. Some people use drills. The instructions say not to use power tools. You do as you like with that. Technically, I shouldn't put my arm over that, so I'm going to go over the top here. This is my cheap drill. This stuff, make sure you use it. Well, that's not good. The whole damper came out. There we go. And then we're just gonna wiggle this boot off. There you go. This thing is seen better days. Goes in like this, sits in place, and let's get everything lined up a little bit better than that. Make sure you guys don't forget this little washer. Almost forgot the washer too. Rookie. Off completely. wonder they didn't want to come off. I'm just gonna get this hand tight. Tighten this one on the car. Like I said, you guys want to tilt this at a better angle than I have here. That's, I guess, how you know they're loose. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy, sway link, out of the way. And there's a bolt on this side. Let me see what size it is. 15 it is. Alright, so I'm going to get this 15 off. Then the next thing will be that out of the way. Come on, bitch. I'm holding the ratchet. So I got the zip tie on this side. There's one more zip tie over here to the left, which is demonstrated by that zip tie right up top there. So I'm going to rip that one off. That should allow this boot to move freely. All right, zip tie number 2 off. I've got the boot out of the way, and I just want to show you guys there's no play in mine, so I really could have kept this tie rod on here. It's not actually bad, but since I'm already doing all this, I might as well just replace it. So the next thing that we've got to do is I've got this tool right here, and it just attaches over the joint, and then you go ahead and then you put these locking washers on here, or locking nut, and then you can just use your ratchet in there. So it's one of the only like 3 special tools that you'll need, but it goes right over this inner tie rod like so, and I'll attach it and I'll show you what it looks like. And all I'm going to do is tighten these down. These are 14s, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the ratchet in here, turn, and set that free. Just like that, got it out. Alright, so now I've got this inner tie rod assembly, and we're just going to take this boot off because we're going to reuse this boot. Actually, I'm going to go this way. Actually, no, I'm going to go this way. Alright, boot's off. Give it a quick inspection. With this piece, we're actually just going to keep this the way it is. We'll get the new one, and then what we're going to do is, since we're going to need an alignment anyways, you want to get this measurement for the new one as close as you can get. So it's kind of a pain, but you can see where this guy is. Oh, let me drop my light. Alright, so now with the light, you can see you got this control arm bolt that goes in right here. So you're going to come in from underneath, go above the sway bar and then follow that, and you can get to the bolt. And you just have to get in there and little turns. And remember, you're going to push away from you for the driver's side and then whatnot, righty tighty, lefty loosey, all that good stuff. So I'm going to get that one out and show you guys what's next. Shorter guy worked a lot better. I couldn't even get this end around the bolt. So once you get this like 90% of the way off, you can go from the top and give it a nice good hit to knock this loose, or you could use the little wedge tool that I use. And I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So I mean, you just go in there and you just hammer that out. That's really not hard, but I'm going to do that and get this out. I'm going to take this guy, wedge this in between here, give this a couple good thwacks. My wedge tool didn't work. I must have done something crazy, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this extension and I'm going to give this a good whack from up top and then see if that will do the trick to loosen that bolt and get that popped out. So I got this loose. Bolt's still on. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these two right here. So this is actually gonna be a 17 for these two right here. All right, so I got these two loose, and then with these two loose, just go ahead and drop these. Okay, those two are out, and then that should allow this whole thing. Right. Whole thing out. So we're going to reuse this sway link holder right here, and that's just going to be removing that bolt right there. And then we're also going to be replacing this, so we don't have to worry about taking this off the old one. But if you didn't plan on replacing this, you'd have to press this out and remove this there. So it all depends how far you're willing to go with yours. But for mine, we're going to take this right here that sits in here, press these in, and then get them ready to put back into the car. And that's really about it. So the next thing you'll see is this pressed in and the control arm, which new control arm right here. Let's see if it's got the bolt. No bolt, so we're just going to reuse the old bolt, get that set up and ready to go. So the only thing different on the passenger side is going to be that if you look down here and you try to go from the top, sorry about the light, you can't get to that bolt because the exhaust manifold is in the way. The reservoir is in the way, everything's in the way. So even if you were to try to get down there, it's going to be kind of tricky. So you have a couple options. You can move things like the exhaust manifold out the way and direct shot to the bolt, or you could get that 22 and try to go over that sway bar and do what we did last time on the other side. So I'm gonna try to get creative and see if I can. But I've got my wrench on it right there, and I'm just doing little short quarter turns, and I've got the jack holding that up, and this way it works. I didn't have to remove the heat shield. Some people did that. Some people removed the exhaust. Some people dropped the whole crossbar. So a couple different ways you can do it. I found this really good torque spec guide on Garagistic, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'll leave a link down below to these guys, but they have a bunch, and this should give you a general guide to torque everything down. I'm not gonna go through every single one, and yeah. I know this one ended up being a little bit lengthy, so I'm gonna split it into two parts. One is just gonna be the teardown of the full suspension, which we've done so far, and I did leave you guys with the specs in case you guys wanted to just go ahead and redo everything we just did without the step-by-step. So I'll be posting part 2 of the front suspension teardown and install in the next video. But if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching.